70 miles an hour, your tire blows out. Any other SUV, that's a rollover waiting to happen. But this one doesn't crash. The second the tire drops, it lifts the corner back up. On its own. You keep driving. 3 wheels, dead level, like nothing happened. That's not CGI, not a stage demo. It's on sale right now for less than a Ford Explorer. Welcome back to Motor Zen, where we just found the suspension tech that has Land Rover and Mercedes sweating. BYD just deleted the flat tire. Let's get into it. The car that's terrified of nothing. Let's start with the vehicles themselves, because the tech only makes sense once you understand what it's bolted to. You can't just drop a system like this into any old crossover. It needs a platform built to handle the stress. BYD's off-road sub-brand, Fangcheng Bao, which basically translates to Warrior of the Great Wall. And yeah, they picked that name on purpose because subtlety has never really been BYD's style when they're trying to make a statement. Just dropped 2 new models. The Bao 5 and the flagship Bao 8, both in a new flash charge trim. These are built to go head-to-head with the Land Rover Defender and the Mercedes G-Wagon, 2 vehicles that have basically owned the rugged luxury off-roader category in the West for decades without any serious challenger. On paper, they look like standard hardcore luxury off-roaders. Big fenders, aggressive stance, tow hooks up front, the whole rugged SUV formula that American buyers already know and trust. Nothing about the silhouette screams, "This is going to change the industry." That's actually part of the strategy. BYD isn't trying to reinvent what an off-roader looks like. They're trying to reinvent what it can do underneath. Because underneath that sheet metal is where things get genuinely interesting. These 2 SUVs are hiding a piece of engineering so advanced it makes a $150,000 G-Wagon look like it's rolling on horse-drawn cart technology by comparison. And we don't say that lightly on this channel. We've defended the G-Wagon plenty of times for what it represents in terms of heritage and off-road pedigree. Before we get to the suspension, because that's the real headline here, and trust us, it's worth the wait. You need to understand the raw violence this thing is packing under the hood. The Bao 8 runs BYD's DMO Super Hybrid platform. That's a 2.0-liter turbocharged gas engine paired with dual electric motors, 1 on each axle. Combined output, 748 horsepower and 760 Newton-meters of torque. For the Americans doing the mental math at home, that's roughly 560 pound-feet, which is more twist than a Hellcat-powered Jeep Grand Cherokee puts down, in a vehicle built primarily for rock crawling and wading through rivers. This thing launches from 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. That's a 2.5-ton off-road brick moving like a sports sedan off the line, which frankly shouldn't be physically possible, given the weight and the tire compound they're running. And BYD didn't stop at raw power. They dropped their 2nd-generation blade battery into this thing, running on a new 1,500 kilowatt flash charging network, a charging infrastructure they're building out specifically to support cars like this. You can take the battery from 10% to 80% in about 10 to 15 minutes. That's roughly the time it takes to grab a coffee and use the bathroom at a rest stop. Add that hybrid range to the gas tank, and you're looking at a combined range over 1,200 kilometers on the Bao 8. That's about 750 miles. And over 1,300 kilometers, or 810 miles, on the smaller Bao 5. Range anxiety officially dead for a vehicle segment where range anxiety used to be the single biggest objection buyers had. But power and charging speed? That's just the appetizer here. The main course, the thing we actually came here to talk about, is what's happening at each corner of this vehicle, completely independent of the engine and the battery. The suspension that breaks the rules. This is the DSUS P Ultra, and if you've been paying attention to air suspension trends in luxury SUVs over the last few years, the kind of systems Range Rover and Cadillac have been putting in their flagship models. Forget everything you know about how those work. Air suspension relies on compressed air moving through bags and valves. It's relatively slow to react, it's fragile in extreme conditions, and it's notorious for failing in extreme cold when the airlines can freeze or the compressor struggles. This is not that. This is a completely different category of technology. DSUS P Ultra is an active hydraulic system running a dual-valve configuration with a lifting capacity of 9 tons. That's not a typo. 9 tons at each individual corner, independently of the other 3 wheels. To put that in perspective, that's enough force to lift a fully loaded semi-truck trailer at just one corner of an SUV. Here's what makes it genuinely wild, though, and this is the part that separates it from anything currently sold in America. It doesn't just react to bumps after you've already hit them, the way a normal suspension, even a good adaptive one, works. It's constantly pre-scanning the road ahead in real time, using sensors and adjusting the dampers before the wheel even arrives at that section of road. Think of it like a bodyguard who already knows exactly where the punch is coming from and has already moved to block it before it lands, instead of reacting after getting hit. Need to clear a massive boulder on the trail? The system raises ride height by 200 millimeters, giving you a wading depth of 790 millimeters. That's over 2.5 feet of water you can drive through without drowning the engine or flooding the electronics. That's deep enough to cross a flooded back road after a storm that would strand almost anything else in its class. Need to be more efficient on the highway instead to save fuel and battery on a long haul? It drops the whole SUV down toward the pavement to cut aerodynamic drag, then raises itself back up the moment you exit onto a dirt road. And it does all of this in temperatures ranging from -40 to 85 degrees Celsius. That's -40 Fahrenheit on the cold end and 185 degrees Fahrenheit on the hot end. Death Valley in July or Fargo in the dead of January, this system genuinely does not care, and that's a real engineering achievement, because hydraulic fluid viscosity and seal integrity are exactly the kind of things that fall apart at those temperature extremes on lesser systems. But here's where it gets genuinely absurd, and this is the number you need to remember for the rest of this video. Each wheel can independently articulate, meaning move up and down on its own, completely separate from the other 3 wheels, by up to 300 millimeters. Nearly a full foot of independent movement at every single corner of the vehicle on command. Why does that number matter so much? Because that's the exact number that saves your life during our hook scenario. The blowout that isn't a crisis anymore. Remember the scenario we opened with? Let's actually break down what's happening under the skin when that tire lets go at highway speed, because the physics here are worth understanding. In a normal car, a blown tire means that corner of the vehicle instantly drops several inches as the tire deflates and the rim makes contact with the road surface. The rim starts grinding pavement, throwing sparks. You lose grip on that corner almost instantly, and the car pulls hard to one side because the rolling resistance on the blown corner is suddenly wildly different from the other 3 tires. If you panic and yank the wheel, which is exactly what most people's instincts tell them to do, that's how blowouts turn into rollovers. It's one of the most dangerous failure modes a vehicle can have, and it's been basically unsolved by the mainstream auto industry since the invention of the automobile. Every safety system built around it, from stability control to run-flat tires, has been about managing the symptom, not solving the actual problem. DiSUS P Ultra detects that drop instantly. We're talking milliseconds, faster than the blink of an eye, faster than your foot can even move toward the brake pedal. The system redistributes load away from that corner and actively lifts it back up using that 300 millimeter range of independent articulation we just talked about. You're no longer riding on a blown-out tire scraping the ground. You're essentially riding on 3 good wheels and a suspended corner, with the system holding that geometry steady and level. You can pull over safely at your own pace, or in some demonstrated cases, keep driving at reduced speed to reach a safer location before stopping. No scraping across the pavement, no fishtailing, no losing control of the vehicle. It's the kind of thing that sounds like science fiction until you actually watch the demo footage. And once you do stop to actually fix the flat, this is the part that made us do a genuine double take when we first saw this. You don't need a jack at all. No scissor jack rattling around in the trunk, no hydraulic bottle jack you have to hunt for. You push a button on the infotainment screen and the SUV physically lifts its own wheel into the air using that exact same hydraulic system that just saved you from a rollover. It's a self-jacking car. Ever tried changing a tire on the shoulder of a highway with cars blasting past you at 80 miles an hour just feet away, praying your little factory jack doesn't slip out from under the car while you've got your hand near the wheel well? This system exists specifically so you never have to do that dance again, and honestly, that alone might be worth the price of admission for anyone who's ever changed a tire in the rain on the side of I-95. The brain behind the brawn. Now, having a genius chassis means nothing if the software running the show is dumb. A brilliant hydraulic system is only as good as the sensors and computer telling it what to do, and this is where BYD made a smart move instead of trying to reinvent everything themselves from scratch. Rather than building an autonomous driving stack from the ground up, which is an enormously expensive and time-consuming undertaking even for companies with deep pockets, BYD partnered with Huawei. Yes, the phone company, but also one of the most advanced tech firms on Earth when it comes to sensor fusion and processing, to bring in their Changkun ADS system. This isn't a basic lane keep assist bolted on for a marketing checkbox, the way a lot of driver assistance packages get sold as options on American SUVs. This SUV runs dual LiDAR sensors and infrared night vision as standard equipment. It doesn't just cruise comfortably on the highway. It can navigate complicated city streets, handle roundabouts that trip up plenty of human drivers, and parallel park itself while you stand outside and watch the whole thing happen through the window. Step inside the cabin, and it doesn't feel like a rugged trail truck at all, which is honestly a bit of a surprise given the off-road hardware underneath. Massive digital displays span the dashboard. A premium sound system fills the cabin with genuinely impressive clarity. A front passenger leg rest reclines like a business class airline seat. There's even a big bed mode where the seats fold completely flat for camping trips. Something American truck and SUV buyers have been begging manufacturers for years, and something you usually only see as an aftermarket conversion here in the States. All right, let's pause and count. That's 5 major things this SUV is doing that nothing else on the market is doing at this price point. The hybrid powertrain pushing supercar-level acceleration, the flash charging that makes range anxiety irrelevant, the hydraulic suspension that can climb boulders and ford rivers, the blowout recovery system that solves a 100-year-old safety problem, and the Huawei-powered self-driving brain running the whole show. If any single one of those alone would be a headline feature on a $100,000 vehicle from a legacy luxury brand, and BYD just stacked all 5 into one SUV. That's worth a like on this video right now. Seriously, it helps this channel more than you'd think, and it costs you literally nothing. And if you're new here, hit subscribe and tap that notification bell, because we cover stories like this, the ones legacy automakers hope you never hear about, multiple times a week. Drop a comment too and tell us honestly, would you actually daily drive something like this, or does it feel like too much technology to trust? Now let's talk price, because this is where it gets genuinely uncomfortable for everybody else in the industry. The price tag that should scare Detroit. Here's the number that should genuinely worry Toyota, Land Rover, and Mercedes-Benz executives right now, in boardrooms this exact week. The BAO 8 Flash Charge Edition starts at roughly $61,000 in China. The smaller, more athletic BAO 5 starts around $44,000. Let those two numbers sit with you for a second, because we're about to compare them to what you'd actually pay for something even remotely similar here in the US. For $61,000, you're getting 748 horsepower, triple locking differentials, Huawei-level autonomous driving, 15-minute flash charging, and a suspension system that can save you from a blowout at highway speed and then jack itself up so you never touch a lug wrench in the rain again. All of that for less than what a base Range Rover Sport costs before you've added a single option, and Range Rover Sport buyers know exactly how fast those options add up. A Land Rover Defender with anywhere close to this level of off-road hardware runs well past $80,000 once you're in the trims with real off-road equipment. And it doesn't have a self-jacking suspension or a flash-charging hybrid system. The standard Defender is still burning pure gasoline with no electrification at all in most trims. A Mercedes G-Wagon with the electric EQG variant starts north of $140,000, and it's still catching up on charging speed and autonomous driving capability compared to what BYD just shipped. BYD is offering more raw engineering at a fraction of the price, and unlike a lot of EV startups burning cash to chase growth, they're doing it while turning a profit. This is the part of the BYD story that goes beyond one flashy suspension system on one SUV. It's a pattern that keeps repeating across their entire lineup. Every time BYD releases something new, whether it's a $10,000 city car like the Seagull or a $61,000 off-roader like the Bao 8, the specs come in higher and the price comes in lower than what Western automakers thought was even possible at that price band. That's not an accident, and it's not subsidized fantasy pricing either. BYD makes their own batteries, their own motors, their own chips, even their own suspension hardware, almost entirely in-house. When the rest of the global auto industry was stuck waiting 6 months for semiconductor shipments during the supply chain crisis a few years back, BYD just called their own subsidiary and kept building. That kind of vertical control, built up over roughly 2 decades, is exactly how you end up with a $61,000 SUV that embarrasses 6-figure competitors on paper. So let's go back to that highway blowout we opened this video with. For basically the entire history of the automobile, a blown tire at speed has been a coin flip between scary but manageable and catastrophic. Every automaker on Earth has treated that as an unsolvable problem. You build better tires with reinforced sidewalls. You build better electronic stability control software to fight the symptoms after they happen. But nobody ever actually fixed the moment the wheel physically drops out from under the car. BYD just fixed it. Not with a warning light on the dashboard. Not with a seatbelt pretensioner firing after the fact. With hydraulics that physically hold the corner of the car up in real time, faster than a human could ever react. And then they took that exact same hardware and turned it into a party trick that eliminates one of the most miserable, genuinely dangerous roadside experiences a driver can have: changing a tire on the shoulder of a busy highway with traffic screaming past. This is the story underneath the story. It's not just that BYD built one cool SUV with a neat suspension gimmick for a demo video. It's that a company most Americans still associate with cheap batteries and budget sedans just casually solved a problem the entire global auto industry has treated as physically unsolvable for over a century, and then priced the solution like a mainstream SUV instead of gatekeeping it behind a 6-figure luxury badge. That's the moment you know the ground is genuinely shifting under the whole industry. When the affordable brand starts out engineering the luxury brands at less than half the price, the old pecking order in this industry doesn't hold for very much longer. So here's the real question this video leaves us with. Is this the kind of innovation that finally pushes Land Rover, Mercedes, and Toyota to actually step up their game and respond with real engineering instead of marketing? Or does BYD just keep running further and further ahead of everybody else, while American buyers sit on the sidelines watching from a distance because of import tariffs that keep this exact SUV off our shores? Drop your take in the comments below. Would you actually trust a self-jacking hydraulic suspension on your daily driver? Or does that feel like one more complicated system that can break on you down the road? We read every single comment on this channel, and honestly, some of the best video ideas we've ever had came straight from you guys arguing it out in the comment section. If this is the first Motor Zen video you've watched, welcome to the garage. We cover car culture and engineering stories from every corner of the world, the wild stuff coming out of China, the classics that built American car culture from the ground up, and everything in between. We don't play favorites between brands or countries, and we're not here to tell you what to buy. We just follow wherever the story leads, and right now, this story is leading straight to Shenzhen. If you found this one interesting, smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming next, because BYD isn't slowing down anytime soon, and neither are we. See you in the next one.